Hello everyone, welcome to Crushcast. Today I'm here with a very special guest, the Hellspawn of Europe, TOBORUO. You may know him from his Death Knell of Gacha Games video, his Enfield video where he makes fun of Genshin players, or his video where he sings an opera about how it's morally justified to Aquishadels. He also streams on Twitch and YouTube 3 days a week, so go follow him over there at twitch.tv/TOBORUO. How's it going, everyone?
Going pretty well.
All right.
I did just have to apologize to my server because I thought this was a live stream and not a recording. So, not the best start, but it's going all right. All things considered.
Yeah, maybe one day we can do this as a live stream. But for now, it's gonna be a recording because it's just a lot easier to do in a recording format because I can make sure like errors that we say can be taken out because it's sometimes there's just audio issues, sometimes recording stuff, so it's just nice to be able to fix that in post. So Tobo, I was watching your stream a few days ago and we were talking about the new player experience, and I think that would be an amazing starting point for this, so I would love to hear kind of your 2 cents about that, because I know that there is a lot of I can't really say I speak too much from experience, because when I first started playing Arknights, I vehemently avoided the community. I wanted nothing to do with them because I knew they would influence me. And I'm sure both you and Loey have been playing this game for a lot longer than me, so I'm sure you guys have had that kind of interaction with people who are either new to the game or people giving advice to people who are new to the game, and I'd love to hear your takes on that.
TOBORUO,
wait, what was the question? Sorry, specifically.
Just just the new player experience in general. Like, have you guys had any, like, what is your experience when it comes to dealing with new players, or how other people have kind of dealt with new players? Because that's something I'm not really that I haven't interacted that much with those kinds of people, because I'm really just kind of isolated to people who watch my channel. I don't really venture that much out because I don't really want to interact with the Arknights community that much. So I just want to hear your guys' experiences with that.
So, but there's a fair number of people who come into my server. It's been more so lately because of the, Enfield videos have been quite successful, and then my server is quite active now, whereas previously it was kind of like here and there. Sometimes it'd be active, and then sometimes it would go for like an entire day with no activity. But now it's quite active, and there's there's a number of new people that have come in. There's also been people who haven't played Arknights, who are, have heard of Enfield because they've been exposed to the big gacha games.
Yeah. And
through my Enfield videos, they've discovered Arknights, and they're become interested in it and tried it out. And so there's been new players in my server who've tried that out. And from my perspective as a content creator is a little different to what most people are going to experience, because I get people specifically pinging me to ask questions instead of just asking the server or asking a community, which is it can be a little bit annoying, but it's good, it's well intentioned, so I don't get annoyed. The thing that I like, but besides that though, like I've been doing this streaming and all that for a bit over 3 years, like since February 2022, something like
that. All right.
So in the years, in that time period, I've had a bunch, several people come into my stream who've, set new players and asking for questions. And there's been, that's the kind of bulk of where my experience comes from in like helping new players, as it were, in is people just kind of dropping by in my stream who want some newbie advice.
The
interesting thing is, most of the time they are not really asking how to get better at the game. They're asking, how can I make progress without having to, bash my head against the wall?
I think that's just kind of I know people who are probably watching this already kind of know what our perspective on this and what we're going to say from this, but it is definitely just kind of the traditional gacha trope of how the community kind of functions with new players, is that it's like, how to get into a gacha game is a lot different than how you get into like a normal game, because gacha games are very complex under the surface. And so you have a new player coming in, and they kind of want to figure out what a lot of those nuances are, and a lot of it does just kind of come down to what things should I be looking out for, what things are important, what things are good, what is the standard that I should be like upholding myself to, what are the things that I need to be doing in order to improve as a player immediately, rather, or I guess more, what things do I need to do to improve rather than improve as a player, I suppose.
I would contest that slightly. It's not so much what do I need to know to do, to improve immediately. That's not really it.
Okay.
It's not like how can I improve immediately? It's how can I make it easier immediately? They're different things. It's not like how can I improve? It's how can I go further without needing to improve.
I suppose I don't know if they would like say that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably kind of like that might be the truth of what they're actually trying to do. They're trying to make the game easier for themselves rather than trying to get better at the game.
Okay, so there's a way.
I agree, yeah, but it's
there's usually a way you can tell, right? Because it's not all players. Like it sounds like I'm being uncharitable to them, which is it's fair, but
yeah.
Like the thing is as well, it's important to clarify. I don't mean it negatively.
No, yeah.
I'm not saying it as like a derogatory thing. It's like, oh, they don't want to improve. What I mean is like, there's a way to tell usually it's whether or not they ask about pull currency.
Oh, of course, yeah.
If they are more concerned with pull currency than anything else, then they're usually just not looking to improve. They're playing it as like a waifu collector, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean when I bring up like, Loey, do you want to say something?
Well, my experience when I first started, for context, I started playing the game in June of 2020. So I'm not a day one player, but I started within the first year of the game being on global. And I don't really remember too much of my beginning player experience because it was a pretty difficult time in my life, and it was one of those things where I was playing the game kind of just to pass the time, and I didn't really get enthralled by the gameplay until around Chapter 4, and especially when the Twilight of Wallamond event came out. Like, that is really what taught me, like, hey, this is, like, Hypergriff is trying to take the tower defense genre in a completely new direction and trying to spice it up as much as they can, especially with each new event being different from each other and everything. Like, typically there's a brand new mechanic that is completely unique compared to previous events or even the main story. So I can't really comment on that. I do remember that I didn't really look up like stuff on YouTube either, mostly because the game being a gacha was really a turnoff for me when I was seeing advertisements for it when it was first launching, because back then I associated a gacha system in a game to be predatory and to be something that took away from the game. And so, like, typically on YouTube, you would see the videos of like, oh, who should you pull for, and all this different stuff, and I kind of just brushed that aside, so I kind of did my own thing. And I remember fondly the days of I would use Frostleaf behind a defender because she was one of the only operators that I had that could attack something past a defender on the ground. But besides that, I didn't really have... I don't really recall. When I did Elite Zero Level 1 for the first time, it was definitely way different because I was focusing on doing a niche, so it's kind of hard to correlate that with like a brand new player experience without any prior gameplay experience of Arknights. So
yeah, I think yeah, what you're saying is kind of making me realize I worded what I was trying to say horribly. But I think a lot of people enter Arknights with the impression of it being a gacha game, and with purely that expectation, they treat it like it is every other gacha game. Like, oh, who do I need to pull for? Who do I need to do? Because they're already in the gacha community, you know? They know the ins and outs of these kinds of games. And as you were saying, like, you kind of woke up from the idea of, like, hey, what if this game isn't just a crappy gacha game like all the others? Like, there's actual gameplay depth, there's actual, like, intrigue, there's nuance to how the game works. And so, from that idea, you have people coming in, and as Tobo was saying, it's like they want the game to be easier. They wouldn't admit that, because that's how they just kind of expect gacha games to be, of just, like, they want to come into the gacha game. They know exactly how gacha games work, and they know that it's a very just, like, top-down hierarchy, where there are the good things and there are the bad things. They need the good things, and they need to avoid the bad things. And so that kind of prevents them from looking at Arknights as, like, a game. And I'm sure, as we're probably going to get into, it's like that kind of expectation leads to a lot of people kind of having the wrong idea about how to approach Arknights as a game. And more often than not, is it just going to be, this is a gacha game. How do I get good at it as a gacha game, rather than how do I get good at it as a game, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to bring up, since you mentioned that, is that a lot of other gacha games, like, unfortunately, since I have experience playing Genshin myself, the higher rarity characters cost the same amount of resources as the lower rarity characters.
No.
And so, unlike Arknights,
yeah.
So, unlike Arknights that really encourages you to build lower rarity units because they are cheaper, in Genshin, it's like you gradually gravitate toward the meta because of, well, it costs the same amount of resources to build this 5-star character compared to building a 4-star character that might not even be able to do anything productive for my account. And that is a big turnoff for, like, actually experimenting. And especially the artifact system for the gearing your characters, because of how frustrating it is to interact with that system. It is like, well, I am going to get one artifact set for the characters that I know I'm going to use and level, rather than for Arknights, I'm going to, try the 4-star characters. And then, of course, like you said, the culture around gacha games, it's like the higher rarity characters are almost always better. Whereas in Arknights, it's like, that is true to a certain extent, but you can still do a lot of stuff with lower rarity characters that in other gacha games you simply can't.
Yeah.
I'd say the latter is more true than the former. Like, it is, like, unequivocally the case that 6 stars are better, substantially better than 5 stars and below.
A majority of the time,
yeah. Like, nonetheless, 5 stars and 4 stars are perfectly usable and will, see screen time in endgame content plenty.
I'm under the impression, again, this is me just pulling this out of my ass before a commenter says that I'm pulling it out of my ass. I am more under the impression that Hypergriff intentionally kind of designs stages, with the exception of, like, Ascension 18 IS, or, like, stupid hard-ass, doesn't even give you rewards, like, contingency contract kind of shit. Everything else is designed around 4 and 5 stars. Like, there isn't really a point in the normal game that isn't, like, insane self-imposed, like, difficulty shit where you need to bring a 6-star. Every other point is entirely capable to be beaten with 4 and 5 stars, and I'm saying this as someone who kind of does that.
I would exclude H stages from that as well. Maybe not the...
I'm not sure.
Like H74, H84s and stuff like that. That's because those are clearable with 5 stars now plenty. But if you have tried H12-4 without 6 stars, you'll know it's very, very difficult.
Okay, maybe this is going to completely ruin my fucking cred, but Chapter 12 is the only chapter I haven't beaten all the stages on Adverse yet. Because I've been too lazy to do the boss. so that's my own fault.
Yeah.
I have been,
to be fair, I would.
Yeah, I've just been kind of lazy with the H stages. They're hard, but I do find them to be quite fun. But yeah, they're hard. And
that's the thing. Like, there's the H stages, and then there's the chapter 12 H stages.
Just them specifically.
They are like unequivocally the hard. They are unequivocally the hardest of the H stages. Like,
I guess I'll just have to take no competition. For that. That's funny.
To put it into perspective, right?
Well,
I could beat. It took me some effort. I did it with difficulty, doing like H10 3, H11 4, stuff like that. H9 6 as well took me quite a while. H12 4 for a very long time was the only H stage I didn't beat myself. I just had someone else do it.
Damn. Okay. Wow.
Like, I have since beaten it myself, and I did so on stream, and I have since, it's ended up being a kind of formative experience because I've now come around to kind of liking it.
Okay.
When I absolutely despised it for the longest time. So I think the notion that you can, so the notion that you can clear the vast majority of content with 4 stars and 5 stars, you can, but once you get to a certain level of difficulty, it can get very frustrating. It's like not in the good kind of frustrating.
No, yeah. It's. I believe that Hypergriff designs it around 4 and 5 stars. Like, I think they wouldn't intentionally put a stage in the game that would be literally impossible without 4 and 5 stars. But that doesn't mean that the stages are going to be easy with 4 and 5 stars. And I don't think it's wrong. Like, it's not wrong to use 6 stars. If there's a stage that you're like, oh shit, this stage is fucking horrible, I want to use this 6 star that works well on this stage because it'll work and it'll help me out with my strategy. It's like, yeah, fine. I'm not like, that's not a bad thing. And I don't think it's wrong to say that, like, as a new player, you should never, like, or just as a player in general, you should, like, never use a 6 star ever. It's like, no, that's stupid. There's a time and a place for them, obviously. But
it's actually like, it's just made me think of something like that hasn't really occurred to me before. So, you know how you were talking about how players, player expectations in terms of approaching it as a gacha game.
Yeah.
And they tend to think, because of the overwhelming majority of the gacha audience now is people who've come from, Lord smite me for saying it, the big 4. I feel sick saying that because I hate the notion of the big 4. It's just a stupid concept.
Is that a term people use?
Yes, it is. And you know exactly which games it means.
No, I know.
That's exactly why it works, which is exactly what pisses me off. But
the anyway, Genshin slop. It's the Genshin slop.
Yeah, it's the 3 Hoyo games and Woowa. That's it. Which really just means the 4 Hoyo games. Anyway, people, like, the vast majority of the gacha audience will come from those games, and in those games, the focus is on building vertically. The focus is on looking at what a unit can do by themselves.
Yeah.
6 stars in Arknights now get looked at the same way, despite having a squad of 12 in which you can, and you can deploy like 8 or 9. It's as opposed to the other 4 games where you have 1 character on the field at a time in a squad of 4.
Yeah.
And like the focus is much more on building vertically, and so that leads to people judging whether or not a unit is worth building by what they are capable of individually, which a 6 star is naturally going to be quite good at. 5 stars and 4 stars play more traditional roles.
They're special.
In the squad.
This is something I want to make like a video on, but 4 and 5 stars are always designed to be specialized for specific niches. They're always either incredibly, like, they're meant to be a baseline for how the subclass just functions in general, or they're meant to have a specific niche. 6 stars don't have that, and that is often a big criticism I have of 6 stars, is that they feel way too generalized. They kind of take a lot of that specialization fun out of the game, because now everything is capable of doing everything all at once. Again, people can like things, I don't care, but that's usually my criticism.
Yeah, I would describe it slightly differently, though, to what you're saying. I agree with the sentiment, but I would describe it slightly differently in saying that 6 stars, it's not so much that they're overgeneralized. It's more so that 6 stars, just by virtue of it being a gacha game, compress more and more roles into the same unit.
Well, yeah.
Whereas 5 stars and 4 stars don't do that.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they're kind of meant to be more generalist compared to the more specialized function of 4 and 5 stars. Yeah.
Yeah, the fuck, I forgot what I was talking about. Never mind.
Okay, Lloyd, do you have anything else to say? Because I want to talk about something. If you have more to add, then we can.
When you're talking about role compression, I remember that a lot of people didn't like the concept of primal casters needing a ritualist to be good. And in my mind, because I'm the type of player that I love synergy, I love using combos as specific operators and everything. So to me, primal casters are kind of, well, they fit right into that mold of gameplay that I enjoy. So to me, I really love that. But a lot of people are like, oh, so well, at the time, I think it was only Diamante was out, and to a certain extent, Nymph, although Nymph's S2 allows her to be a lot more self-sufficient because of how that works.
So stupid.
I get where this comes from, because I thought the same way, but I actually don't agree because of Blaze. Like Blaze, the way Blaze is designed has kind of changed my mind on primal casters.
Wait,
and I see them in like a different light now.
What don't you agree with? You said a lot of stuff.
Like, you know how you were saying that you like synergies and stuff. Like I do too. I like it when I can put a few operators together and they just work super well together because of the synergy they have. Like I can put Ifrit down and then put Viviana down in front of her, and they both fight the same way, and then they work together, and then I can also have bobbing, applying burn, and I can do them all at once, and then Vivi does like a ton of arts and elemental damage, and it's like, oh, there's so much synergy. Oh, that's amazing. Primal casters would be perfectly fine in my book if there were better ways or more widely available ways of applying elemental build-up. In the case of
that's fair.
Yeah.
In the case of burn damage, there's very little, and so you have a unit like. By the way, sorry, am I okay with like CN spoilers?
Yeah. Literally, the whole point of the podcast is for me and Lloyd to talk about CN spoilers. So yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, Blaze, Blaze, the igniting spark, Blaze Altar is. If she doesn't have a good source of burn application, she's dog shit. Like her S2 is really not that good. Like it's like as a standalone unit, her S2 is like the skill you want to be using really, and maybe S1 in some really like specific cases, but like generally S2. But it's not actually that good at the self-sustain, which is because the point of the skill is she can sustain herself while applying burn and stuff, but it's not actually that good. She really kind of needs a really solid source of burn application, and as it stands on CN, that's it.
Yeah.
And so like there's a reason, I think Storn described it as if Hoyo designed an Arknights operator, because it's a unit that a high rarity unit that absolutely fundamentally, well, not fundamentally, but pretty much essentially requires another specific unit to function, and that unit happens to be limited.
That's very similar. You bring that up. It's very similar to Lumuen and Exucii, the not a geek, whatever her name is. Because it's not as severe in the case. Again, I'm not going to give my two takes on Blaze because I obviously don't have any fucking experience with her, so I don't really know if what you're saying is true about her S2. I'll just take your word for it. But like when I look at Lumuen and just all the 3 La Toronto operators from that event, it's just like, oh, they're trying to kind of package them all together. It's just like, oh, they're all really good if you get all of them together. And it's like, normally I would be super excited about that because I like the synergistic part of it. But it's a lot weirder when it's 2 6 stars on the exact same banner that are meant to be like used together. Like it feels very weird to me. That's what you're kind of saying with like you and Blaze.
You know why that is, don't you?
Because idiots will buy into it. I mean, because it's great marketing. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, it makes money. Like, how many times have you like in the past when there's for example, take Virtuoso Viviana, right? Last year. How many people will have been pulling only to stop after getting Virtuoso?
I have no idea.
The vast majority.
Basically. Yeah, probably everyone.
The vast majority.
Yeah.
Unless you're me, who did 600 pulls for P6 Vivi. Anyway,
Chad.
The people who will got Viviana first would have been like, oh fuck, I have to keep rolling, and they keep going until they get Virtuosa. If the 2 units work really well together, once they get one, people will be like, oh okay, but they would work if they work really well together, both units, so they keep pulling until they get the other one, and then that means more money.
Exactly. Yeah.
This didn't used to be a thing with Arknights Madness, but it's started being a thing recently because they've realized it makes money. It's kind of annoying.
I mean, in the case of Blaze, though, I'm sure. Again, I don't know how big this like loses 5% HP per second thing, when attacking loses 5%. I don't know how big that is. I don't know if that's.
I will clarify. It's not dog shit compared to other 6 stars. If you put her in a squad in full of 4 stars and 5 stars, it will probably look quite good. But in terms of 6-star relative strength, she's pretty low.
Okay, well, to me that's a good thing. But yeah, I'm just thinking it's like, oh, loses 5% HP. It's like, oh, you just put a medic on that. Like, that doesn't seem that bad. But then it's also like, if you're evaluating it from like 6-star perspective, it's like, yeah, 6 stars need to be like very self-sufficient for the general community to see them as good.
Exactly. Yeah.
We got very off topic. Which is fine.
Yeah, this is supposed to be about new players. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's the whole point of this. But I wanted to talk about low rarity operators because I think that a lot of new players, like, because again, as you were saying with the whole, as I guess all of us were saying, about how new players will come in with incorrect expectations, they'll often completely undervalue a low rarity operator when, to me, low rarity operators are probably the most important operators like in the game for new players, or just period.
I've sort of made a point of telling new people, please don't build any 5 stars or 6 stars and until you've fully upgraded your base. You will your base is your bottleneck. If you haven't fully upgraded it, you are not going to have a very steady sale on resources, and 5 stars and 6 stars are expensive to build when you're in the early game. You need to be building your 4 stars and 3 stars and just focus on those and use that to get to, I think it's stage 4-7, where you get the last thing to upgrade the control center. Just do that, and then then after that start thinking about 5 stars and 6 stars. But one of the new players in my server is stuck on chapter 2.
Oh, okay.
And someone recommended to them to build Lapland to E1. And I was slightly, I can't really be annoyed at it because I did tell him to pick up Lapland from this ticket, only to then be like, wait, no, don't do that. And he was like, oh, too late, sorry. But I kind of, the reason I said, oh, wait, don't do that is because, people who recommend Lapland for chapter 6.
Yeah.
And the silence ability. I told him not to build, I was slightly annoyed by the, advice to build Lapland because it was accompanied by the phrase, she lets you cheese a lot of stuff early on. And I'm like, no, the reason I was telling them to build the 4 stars was specifically not to cheese stuff early on. No, What are you doing? But that's just how gacha players think. It's just like, if a unit makes your life easier, why would you not use it?
Exactly, yeah. Because the whole point of the low rarity operators is that they are incredibly fucking cheap. I love the fact that you don't need chips for the 3 stars, and that you get the talent boosts when you max out your 2 stars and when you max out your 3 stars. And I even remember when I was doing the very early on with my other account, and I immediately got my 2 stars up to like in the very first like 3 chapters of the game. Like Noir Corn had higher stats than Beagle at the same level, so it's just like the lower rarity operators are the most efficient way to spend your resources in the very early aspect of the game. And there isn't any complexity. Like as you were saying with Lapland, it's like, yeah, she can silence, which can ruin up which can completely cheese any stage with the slugs in them. Silence is Frost, which makes those stages incredibly easy. Silence is like all the drones, which completely screws over.
Silence is really, really powerful in the early game,
Yeah, because that's when Hypergriff remembered silence existed. Now they completely forgot about it. And so the main point, because I think the more important reason as to why you should upgrade your 3 stars is, because they're super cheap and it's so easy to get them up, but also because their kits are so mechanically simple that it allows you to understand the basic fundamentals of Arknights before you start getting into more complicated kits. Because when I was playing Nikki, fucking dog shit game, horrible game.
DK.
When the early
it's Nikkei, not Nikki.
Oh,
That's really funny.
Whatever. when I was playing the butt in face game, the early game units they give you, they have all of this fucking text on them, and all of the text basically doesn't do anything. It's like increases attack by 8%, and it's like, okay, doesn't fucking matter. It's so much like information overload that it prevents me from understanding what units are supposed to do. And it's something that I very, very, very much love Arknights for doing, is that 2 and 3 stars have incredibly simple kits because they're supposed to be incredibly simple to understand. The complexity of your use of 2 and 3 stars is how you apply them to stages rather than what their kits can do to annihilate stages, like in the case of like Lapland. And so it's more to do with, like Melantha, for example. There's a tutorial where they teach you, it's like, oh, Melantha has high HP in 1 block, so you use her to intercept like certain enemies. And then there's a few stages after that where they have casters out and you're supposed to intercept them with Melantha. And it's supposed to teach you about they're supposed to teach you the core roles of certain operators and the intricacies of how subclasses are designed. And to me, if you skip out on that and you're a new player and you're like, oh, I need to get Mountain because if I click Mountain's S2, he like beats all of these stages for me. When you do that, you miss out on this idea of trying to explore the game through subclasses, through these very simple kits that let you play with the game mechanics more. It lets you understand how to use them rather than what to use, which I think's very, very important for a new player. And it sucks that like you will have people just be like, oh, you should get Mountain because you just put him down, you AFK, and you win. And it's like, well, that's not teaching them anything. And
I 100% agree with this. And the reason I agree, or I feel so strongly about it, and I feel so seen, is because I am a living example of someone who's not just early game, but like for a significant chunk of time, my experience of the game was really harmed by not learning the game properly.
Yeah,
I started in March of 2021, right?
All right.
I started at the tail end of the Gabriel the Great Chief Returns, Unectes banner.
Yeah.
Immediately following that was Surtur. And so my first 3 6-stars were Surtur, Silver Ash, and Eliafala. And after when I looked up some videos on the game because I was new to it and stuff, just getting a feel for it. I learned that Silver Ash and Eyjafjalla were like 2 of the most broken 6-stars, and Surtur was the most broken 6-star. I was like, oh wow, I've got all these strong units, and I just used them. I just blasted my way through the early game. I didn't learn a thing. I did, and like you can, I don't know if you can see. You can. So in some of my early videos, right, they're from 2022. I've been playing for like a year, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
And you can see my gameplay is really fucking bad. Like there's one video of me trying to beat IS2 ending 3. And I'm panicking, I'm looking at the screen, I'm like, who do I retreat? When there's only one enemy left, and I have two sort of setups. I have like a setup on the left and a setup on the right in ending 3 of IS2. There's no enemies left coming to the right. There's just one enemy coming to the left. And like the stage is basically solved, is done. I don't need to worry about anything. And I'm like looking at the screen like, who do I retreat? And then like, and my chat is like, the right side. Everyone on the right side, what are you doing? And I was like, this is that at the time that just didn't occur to me. Like these just like fundamentals that I just completely missed out on. Like I didn't understand like what was considered good DPS. And so when I looked up like upcoming 6 stars when I started playing, I saw Passenger summoning huge lightning storms. I didn't fucking look at the damage. I was just like, yo, that's so sick. I P6ing him. And then when I pulled him, it turned out he was absolute dog shit. I just didn't have like a good framework to understand this. And so, like I have personally been there. I have been in the shoes of someone who's early game, and not just early game, but like for a really significant chunk of time experience was really, really harmed by not learning the game and just blasting through it with 6 stars. This is why people are so dependent on guides. It's because of this, and that's why I feel so strongly about it. Because my experience of the game would have been so much better and so much less miserable if someone had come along and said, no, you need to stop. You're harming yourself here. You are hurting your experience of the game. You need to stop and just use 4 stars for a while. After doing that, after stepping back and, after sort of learning Arknights for a bit to try and improve, didn't really improve the game. I just kind of improved at using casters. After stepping back and using 4 stars for a bit, my improvement noticeably was let's restart that sentence. My skill level improved noticeably. It was had a much better understanding of the game just from using 4 stars for a while. Like that's why I feel it's so important for new players to do that.
Yeah, when I was first just like starting to do YouTube stuff and I was kind of talking about, I think it was mainly on my Doberman video, which was secretly a video disguised as me trying to tell people the importance of low rarity operators. I had a lot of comments on that video talking about people who they got into the game, they treated it like a gacha game, and they got burnt out really, really quickly because they either beat all of the content or everything just felt very samey to them because it's just, oh, click, deploy Surtur, beat stage, that's it. And so then, how they would say it is that they either intentionally restricted themselves. They would intentionally restrict themselves, only use low rarity operators, and very quickly the game became more fun to them. They became a lot more interested in the game because they stopped focusing on the game from a very vertical point of view. They stopped trying to view the game as, might makes right, and more, how can I improve as a player? How can I get better at the game? And obviously that's not how everyone should play the game, but that's, at least from me, I do believe that when you do play the game incredibly vertically, when you do get into this mindset of, I need to get all of the good stuff, it's really easy to burn out because you've already beaten all the stages. You've done the thing that makes you progress as fast as possible. And now you've finished progressing, now what is there to do? And you haven't really improved much as a player. You haven't really experienced the game. And so you kind of end up in this really quick state of burnout where all you're doing is logging in, doing dailies, and getting off. And so I think that's probably just kind of a symptom of gacha community kind of thing. But I do think that it's not just a way to get better as a player, but just a better way to enjoy the game as a game, to not get burnt out, to have a reason to log in again. Of just like, hey, I'm going to do this next stage. This next stage is going to be awesome. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to be able to do it myself. Rather than, look up a guide. How does the guide tell me to do it? Okay, I beat it. Now what?
Yeah, well, I also have quite a bit to say about this topic too. So my unique perspective is that I do Elite 0 level 1. So I do. My operators are as weak as you can possibly get, other than obviously not having trust. But because of how the game works, you can't really avoid that. Cheater. Yeah, and a big thing for me was that when I started the Elite Zero Level 1 account, I mainly did it as kind of a joke. I didn't really expect to get very far in it, and I mainly made the account so that I could record the very beginning of the Arknights story, because for some reason the intro cutscenes you can't view them again. I don't understand why, but you can't, as far as I know. So I made it to record that, and then I decided I was inspired by Danbo. He does Elite Zero level 50 runs. Yep. And he inspired me to, well, let's try level 1 and see how far I can get. And at the time, I was the type of player that I tried my best not to look at guides. And I didn't really use like the super meta operators very often. But at the same time, I had strong enough operators that in certain events, I could definitely cheese them. And I was kind of frustrated too that because of the power of Elite 2 operators, like, you kind of just breeze through the early event stages because of their for lower level accounts and stuff. So when I went to Elite Zero level 1, what really made me enjoy it so much was that because my operators are so weak, I am forced to interact with the mechanics right from the start. And for certain events, that is huge. Like on my main account, I didn't use the Steam mechanic properly in So Long Adele, Aya Alter's event. So I was like, wow, this is actually kind of much harder than usual. I wonder why. And then when I went to level 1, where I paid more attention and I properly learned the mechanics and stuff, I was like, oh, it's because every enemy had 75% damage reduction, or what the number is. And so many more events became so much more enjoyable because I am forced to interact with those mechanics. Some bosses that nowadays, like Dusk's event, Free, he only has like 500 attack on WR-10, which is nothing. Even if you're using the colors wrong, like 800 attack for a boss is not very impactful. But with level 1, because I had to interact with everything that Free can do, and back when that event came out, a lot of people just suitored him, so you would get rid of the boss pretty much right away. It made WR-10 one of my favorite stages because of I had to interact with every bit of the mechanics. I had to use the Freeze special attack to change the tile colors for the high ground tiles, so my casters would have enough damage to break through his shield in his second phase when he got that back. And so that is kind of what you were talking about, TOBORUO, where when you're using less powerful units, because you're forced to use them as a team and interact with the mechanics more and not just cheese through everything, it made the content in Arknights a lot more engaging for me.
Science. Yeah, I can. Yeah. Well, I was just making sure that you weren't going to, say anything afterwards. I can attest to that. I think, though, it's important to clarify that when we talk about, intentionally restricting yourself, you shouldn't just restrict yourself for the sake of restricting yourself. It's because I mentioned that I played Arknights, right?
Yeah.
I did so in an attempt to get better at the game, but only realized later on, after starting it for a while, Arknights is really heavily dependent on 6-star potentials.
That makes sense.
Most notably for Eyjafjalla. Like, she really, really needs them to be able to use to do Arknights like with any success at all. I I now have quite a few casters at potential 6, but I don't play caster knights anymore. It's I had a bad time with it because I was restricting myself, but without having actually learned the fundamentals properly, and so I was making it very difficult for myself without the framework to do that properly. When now that I've played with 4 stars and stuff, and with my skill at the game, I'm somewhat better at the game now, to put it lightly, than I was back then. I can now, if I want to, decide to play, because I don't really do niche knights anymore. But if I feel like it, I'll play Pero only, because I really like the Pero squad. It's some of my favorite operators. They're all just amazing. I love them. But that's precisely like what I think people should be doing if they do decide to restrict themselves. If they are, used to 6 stars and don't have that fundamental framework, they need to first restrict themselves to 4 stars. Just restrict themselves to low rarity, and make sure they have that framework of the fundamentals. Yeah. Once they have that, don't just pick I think it's misguided to say just pick a niche. The thing that makes niche knights and like those self-restrictions really, really fun is when you're invested in that restriction.
Yeah, of course.
Like not just like monetarily, but like because the Pero operators, I really fucking like the Pero operators. I think you got fucking let me pull it up. You got KOB and Saga. You got Almond and Podenko and Cardigan and Jackie, and it's just like this, and bobbing who's like what niches get to have bobbing? You got this band of the only operator here who is generally considered strong is KOB, and even that's only in really like really high end content because of the defense talent that she has. And so that's like it's really fun to use the Peros, but the fact that I love the operators so much really is what makes it worth it. If picking caster knights, I picked caster knights because I like some of the casters. Like I liked Passenger and Golden Glow, and so I decided, okay, I'll do caster knights, which is like a restriction that fundamentally blocks you off. I mean, fundamentally bars you from engaging with certain gameplay mechanics at all, like invisibility. There's obviously that's not the case anymore with Shaper casters and like Techno and Ablana, but that's besides the point. It's a caster's just you play the game in just a completely fundamentally different way. So you're not really getting better at the game. You're not learning the fundamentals by picking up something like Class Knights. You're just getting better at that specific restriction.
Yeah, I do think that the idea of niche knights as a whole is meant to challenge someone who is already good at the game. Not always. No, I think it depends on the niche. Because like, because I remember I said in one of my videos, it's like, if you're doing like 3-star only, that is a niche that can definitely make you a lot better at the game. But I think the reason why like caster only is a lot different than like 3-star only is because 3-star only gives you not all of the tools, but like the 3 stars are very importantly chosen. They give you the basic fundamental tools, and so you're capable of interacting with the fundamentals of Arknights. You can block with 3 stars only. You have access to arts damage. You have access to good physical damage. You have access to the right tools that every squad should have access to. But with caster knights, it's like, yeah, you can't block. So there's so much of the game, there's so much of how the game should be played that you can't access, and so you're missing out on learning about those kinds of interactions, how that's supposed to work in the game of Arknights. And so I think that, yeah, there are some niches that can get you better. Like for the longest time, I've been doing like no gacha, which is my own take on welfare only, except for some reason welfare only operators don't allow operators you get from shops or you are literally given in the story stages. Don't understand it. Weirdest thing ever. But
that's so weird.
But through playing no gacha, that's how I learned how crushers work. Like, if it wasn't for no gacha, I would have never learned how crushers work. And as you can see, if it wasn't for crushers, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. And so a lot of what made me a lot better of a player is, yeah, part of that intentional restriction, but it's more to, you have access to all of the options. Now, no gacha actually didn't even have access to an executor for the longest time, which is why I'm a huge fan of Crown Slayer. But sometimes it's good. If you want to choose a niche to get better at the game, you need to choose a niche that has access to all of the tools that Arknights has, which is why I think 4-star only is probably the best one to choose, because you do have, because 4 stars, again, we don't get a lot of 4 stars. We only get 4 stars here and there, because I do think that their kits are very intentionally crafted, with the exception of Totter. Totter makes no fucking sense to me. That...
Yeah, 4 stars is like, I'd agree with 4-star is not just the best, it's unequivocally, like, by some margin, the best niche to pick up to improve.
100%, yeah. 3 stars, I think, is just too hard for a lot of players, because it's just, without access to Elite 2, you're just kind of fucked for a lot of stages. And you have access to, like, so little subclasses, so yeah, like, 3 stars can be really hard. But yeah, 4 stars, I do think, is probably the best thing to do. And the thing is with me, is that I don't... Very often, I'll have someone come in my stream and be like, "Oh, what niche are you doing?" Because they see me playing with a bunch of 4 and 5 stars. They don't see me with playing with 6 stars. And I tell them, like, I'm not playing a niche. I'm just playing how I play the game. And because I am technically self-restricting myself. I am restricting myself in terms of power level, yeah. But that's not because that's what makes me better at the game. That's just because that's what I find fun. Like, as much as I love Hoderer, he is often too strong for me for a lot of stages. I'll use him when I need to do some fun stuff, whatever. But very often, like, I only really play with 4 and 5 stars because that, to me, is the most comfortable, where I feel that I'm able to play the game while not making the game too easy for me. And I do sometimes think that sometimes people can get tunnel vision with niche nights. Like, you have to play a niche rather than just, you can play whoever the fuck you want. You know? Yeah,
that's 100% true.
Yeah. It's like...
Yeah. I was guilty of that for a while.
Yeah, just play U-Knights. Play U-Knights. Play what operators you find to be the most fun. Because as you were saying, Tobo, it's like you chose Caster Knights because, you know, you like some of the casters. But perhaps, and I don't know if I'm analyzing this correctly, but the general gameplay wasn't that enjoyable. Where, like, as you were saying with Parry Knights, it's like that's something that you find a lot more interesting. You find that to be a lot more engaging because you like those kits or those characters a lot more. And so it is important that I think players find what they find fun. And I do think that there is a new player who, like, comes to me being like, you know, for whatever reason, they come up to me and they're like, "Hey, who should I build? Like, who should I upgrade?" Or actually, no, this happened to me on, like, a stream a few days ago. There's a guy who has never played Arknights before coming into my chat saying, like, "Hey, I'm new to the game. What banner should I pull on?" And... Or, like, oh, no, I think he came in, he's like, "Oh, is the current banner good?" And I'm like, if you really, really want to get into Arknights, here's a really cool tip. Click on the operator, click on the little hourglass icon, not hourglass, the little magnifying glass icon on the operator. Read their kit. If they look fun, then pull for it. That's it. That's literally it. Go on the wiki, read what they do, and if you find that to be cool, that is the extent for what you should pull for. Because, again, it's like you have this very top-down gacha hierarchy thing where people can be just kind of funneled into this idea of just like, oh, I need to play what's good rather than play what's fun. And, again, that can lead to burnout for a lot of people, which is something I do think can vastly hinder a lot of people's experiences.
I think it might sometimes... It might end up being unhelpful to say to a new player, look at what you think looks fun and pull for that. Because oftentimes, the only way you can know that something is fun is if you know how the game works.
Oh, no, you're right. I did also say in that stream, like,
true,
before you pull for this, make sure you understand the basics. You are 100% correct. Yeah. Yes. If you... I forgot about that, yeah.
That was kind of like... That was my justification for... You know, I saw Passenger's gameplay in a video and thought it looked really fucking cool. And I was lucky in that I also find him really fucking fun to play. And he's still the operator I enjoy playing the most to this day.
Yeah.
But the first operator that came along where I was like, oh, this kit is really, that kit's so sick. Wait, that looks so much fun. I need to pull that. It was stainless.
Oh, yeah. Stainless is awesome.
Yeah.
I've only heard good things about stainless, so I don't know if it's supposed to be like oh no.
No. It's he's like, that's what I mean. Like stainless was the first operator where I was able to look at the kit and able to like look at the skills and think, oh, I can do this with this operator. But oh wait, I can do that with this, and I can do this with that, and I can wait. That's so good. And then I look at like the general sentiment, and they're like, yeah, he's not that good. He's well, you can skip. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean skip? And like, you know why?
Yeah.
It's because the limited banner was coming next. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, that's just kind of something about supporter operators I've kind of noticed too, is that when you're playing the game very top-down, when you're really focused on meta, support operators always suck because you can always replace the support operator with another game-breaking meta operator.
With just more damage, yeah.
Which to me, I'm just like, that's such a boring way to play the game. But again, play whatever the fuck you want. But to me, it's just like, part of the supporters are fun, not because they're... I'm really glad, like, supporters exist, purely because having access to a tool that allows you to, like, buff something up, that allows you to do cool shit. Like, Loey's, like, favorite operator outside of Dusk is like, Skady Alter, because he could just do, like, tons of fucking, like, fun, stupid attack buff shit with it. And it's like, I love Winflit. No one likes Winflit. I love Winflit. And that's just because, sometimes I do want to, like, give an 80% attack buff to a caster so I can do funny shit. It's like that's fun to me.
Winflit's the only Pero that I haven't done the masteries for yet because I just never end up using him. I put him down, he does fuck all, and I'm just like, God damn it, Winflit, and I retreat him.
No, that's fair. I get why people don't like Winflit. I really like him because he's a pretty good blocker, as all artificers are, and his attack boost for casters.
Attack booster.
I get why people don't like him. He's very narrow in that he only affects casters or other supporters, but I fucking love him. He's so much fun when you can just, like, do dumb shit with him.
Yeah, it is fun when you can make stupid shit. Like, I think the best, that's a really good sentiment that I think is best exemplified by, I'm assuming you must have seen videos of people using shifters to, like, slingshot an enemy around the entire map.
Oh,
like,
no,
do
yeah,
a loop of the
entire... Yeah, it's just like any stage with Crown Slayer.
There's no practical benefit to doing that. It's just really fun. That's how you should be playing.
Yeah, it's like, dare I say his name, but the guy who likes the child guardian a little too much. It's like, I remember he made a video where he talks about, like, Arknights is a sandbox, and that's what's interesting about it. And it's like, yeah, that's true. What makes Arknights... It's not just that Arknights is a sandbox, because I do think that the fact that there are fundamental, like, rules and challenges you need to overcome that does give certain operators certain qualities. Because obviously, as much as it would be fun, the entire game isn't slingshotting Crown Slayer into holes from, halfway across the fucking map. But it's the fact that Arknights gives you tools to do specific things that, again, a lot of people will kind of undervalue. Because, the fact, which is a quality of 5 stars I really, really love, and why I absolutely love the Rarity, is that you will just sometimes have a 5-star that is very niche, but very mechanically unique, and it purely opens you up to a completely new way of approaching the game. Like Aroma, for example. I made a whole fucking video. That was the last video I uploaded. It was about Aroma and why her S2 is kind of awesome in the fact that you can just levitate shit. And it opens up, like, Levitate Knights as its own thing, where you can do these fun, silly combos with all of these different levitate sources. And it gives a lot of operators, like Ada's S2, gives that a lot more quality. Hulhi X, like S2, gets really, really fun with that. And so you have a lot of these, those kinds of operators that completely open up, like, the game to be played in an entirely new way, other than just stat check moment, I need to do more DPS. It's like, to me, that's what makes Arknights, like, amazing. The fact that it is like 2025, and we still get amazingly designed 5-stars that allow you to play Arknights in a completely different way than you would have without them. Now, of course, Aroma is a bit different because you do need a lot of the levitate stuff, but I will always just commend the design of 5-stars just because of how much it opens the game to you, how interesting a lot of their kits are because of their specificity.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that, but it's. I think there is, I think there is merit in saying that sometimes 5-stars can be a little too specific.
No, that's fair.
I think Aroma is one of those.
That's
and
fair.
I have her level 80, so like I'm qualified to say this. But yeah, like I don't think Aroma is good. Like she's like. Yeah, she clearly has a niche, but I just think the niche is dog shit.
No, that's that's fair.
You know what I mean?
It's
like, I think there are some units who have niches that I think are like genuinely actually like worth building an operator for just in and of themselves. Like I think who am I thinking of? This fuck, what's her name? Shit. Tsukunogi, that's the one.
Okay.
So like people like don't count Tsukunogi as being one of the first 5-star, not first, for one of the worst 5-stars, like in the entire game. I think she can often be worth using and worth building because she's one of the only sources of ranged invis reveal.
Yeah.
And she has arguably, well, maybe second to Silver Ash, I guess, but like one of, I think besides Silver Ash, the widest range of invis reveal as well. That can actually be quite useful sometimes. Yes, it's niche, and yes, the vast majority of the time you need to reveal an invisible operator, or rather wants to make. You don't usually need to reveal when you can block, but like the point is the vast majority of the time when you decide you want to reveal an invisible operator. If you have like Silver Ash or Ines, you're probably not going to need Tsukunogi. But there have been times where actually Tsukunogi is the best option, like in CC2 recently, right? Or I say recently, like last year.
Mm-hmm.
You had high end guides where you had like a team of 6-stars and like, okay, so this is like the easy version of the guide. Just bring your Tsukunogi. She doesn't need to be built. Just like easier level 1. It doesn't matter. It needs to be Tsukunogi. Like they have these uses, and I think there are 5-stars like that I think that applies to. I don't think Aroma is one of them. I just don't. I cannot ever. I don't think there will ever be a situation where Aroma is like it's fun to make her work. But I think there's merit in saying no. Aroma is actually just not a very well designed operator.
That's fine. I mean, to me, a lot of the fun is playing around her. To me, that is what makes her fun. And yeah, I can get if you're just like, no, I don't really want to be doing like stupid levitate stuff. I want to have an operator that has like a specific use case. And
but that's always fun, to be fair. Like picking an operator and just playing around them and making that work is always fun, regardless of who that operator is.
Yeah. But Aroma's also the only blast caster I've built, because part of the reason why I wanted to build her is because it was between her and Kurosurum, and I'm like, but Aroma synergizes a lot with Connie, and I really like using Connie, so that's why I'm going to build Aroma rather than Kurosurum. And just being able to use, I mean, as a blast caster, she's fine. If you literally have no other blast casters, she fulfills the role of a blast caster fine. So obviously,
just for like the raw damage, she's perfectly fine. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But to me, I really do like the fact that Hypergriff is fine with adding tools to the game that allow you to play the game in different ways. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Where it's just like if the operator doesn't have like that distinct like tool usage, then because I even brought that up in my Aroma video, I'm like, as a tool, she is just a DPS like blast caster that does nothing else, and I don't think I said you should, like, you're better off using, like, anyone else, but it's like, I'm sure if you just need a generic blast caster, she fulfills the role perfectly fine, but it's not like she brings anything new to the table that any other blast caster wouldn't. But it's the fact that she allows herself to do all this fun shit that, I find to be very fun. Now, of course, that doesn't mean I would be recommending her, but in the video, I'm like, if you I would recommend building her if you do find the idea of messing around and building like this specific squad to be very interesting. Because as you were saying with like the Pero squad, it's like these are a bunch of operators I already find to be very fun, and there's a lot of cool like stuff you can do with them. And so it's like, to me, that's what makes Aroma really, really fun. But I've been going on for too long about her.
No, it's fine. Like I also, you know, I like using Aroma just because her voice, you know, English voice is like got the cool Italian accent and stuff. And it's not like, you know, I talk about Aroma being bad. It's not like she's unusable.
Yeah, no, not at all. Mm-hmm. If you need a blast caster, she's a blast caster. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If she's your only
and
blast caster,
even the levitate.
Fine. Yeah, the levitate.
Even the levitate,
is a
like
pretty decent crowd control.
There was one instance. I don't remember which stage it was, but it was a stage with the Sarkaz Lancers, and I used Aroma to, like the first instance of levitate to stop the Lancer from dealing loads of damage to a melee enemy, and then a melee operator, and that was the role she played. So like it's perfectly possible to make her do things and put her to work and, you know, have her perform, but. There are 4 and 5 stars who perform that. Just, you know, you can use gravel to the same effect, right? It's purely like, but the point is, like, you know, I'm agreeing with you in saying that, you know, it's good that Hypergriff adds these things because it's just allows you to play the game the way you want to.
No, yeah, I'm just being defensive because I love Aroma.
Yeah, perfectly valid. I was defensive about Passenger for the longest fucking time.
I do want to say though, she is the only like completely consistent source of levitate. Like, she doesn't need skills to levitate, which I do think is very, very like not important.
That's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Not important, but that is something that can come up when it's just like, I need to levitate this thing because, or not I need to levitate, but I need a very consistent like pseudo stun that isn't restricted to uptime, isn't restricted to SP or whatever. So it's like, again, that's a very specific thing that's added onto Aroma that does give her a bit of that niche. But again, like, if you don't find that niche to be useful, then don't build her. Duh. Although she is only one of like 2 5-star blast casters, and the other one's Corroserum. So honestly, it's like, pick your poison.
I think, you know, you say it's Copium, but I actually think I hadn't actually thought about that before. You know, being they're basically the only source of levitate that doesn't rely on a skill.
Yeah.
That's actually a good point. Maybe think about that in the future.
But, we're talking about blast casters. How do we even get to this? But,
yeah, we've been way off topic.
But...
What was the topic again?
I think, well, the main thing is, though, is that this kind of stuff kind of appeals to us, because, dare I say, we are, like, the Johnny kind of player base, where it's just, like, we find a lot of fun in doing dumb, stupid stuff. Finding fun synergies, finding fun combos. And... Again, I don't really know how to reconnect this back to the original topic. That's the issue. But, like, new players, I do think, like, they won't... The easiest way to say it is just be like, oh, new players won't understand this side of Arknights because they're being propagandized by big meta. Ah! But, again, it's like, there's so much of Arknights that I find to be so objectively good. Like, Arknights, like, is just genuinely an objectively good video game. And it sucks because it's the gacha shit that weighs it down. Both from a lot of how, like, a lot of 6 stars are just horribly fucking designed, and how you have a very strong community sentiment that's more to treat Arknights as just a gacha game rather than a video game. And I've made this point a lot, that to me Arknights is 2 different games. It is both a gacha game and it is a tower defense game. And your appeal depends on, or what you want to play is up to you. It's like, do you want to focus on the gacha game of Arknights? That's going to be focusing a lot more on playing it like a normal gacha game. Just like, oh, what is the right thing that I should be pulling for? What's the optimal way to spend resources? Or if you treat it like a tower defense game, it's an incredibly unique take on the tower defense genre that's genuinely just insanely fun. And because it's something that I do think that a lot of people will miss out on, just because that they understand that gacha games are gacha games, and that's just to me it just kind of sucks. Arknights would be better if it was a $15 game on Steam than a free-to-play gacha game.
I actually, it's a funny take. I actually kind of don't agree with that.
Like the $15 thing on Steam.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Arknights is as good as it is because it's a gacha game.
You think so? Okay.
Which I know is a weird take considering all the discussions we've been having, but I can clarify. I can explain it.
No, go ahead. I want to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
The initial launch state of Arknights was pretty bare bones. Because Hypergriff was a pretty very small company. There were not a lot of people maintaining Arknights. It was a very small team. It was like over time. You know, we're talking about Arknights. You know, on the cusp of the 5.5 year anniversary for global.
No, that's also. I mean, I've only been playing the game for like 2 years, so obviously I'm not familiar with any of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, if we were talking about Arknights in its current state, just being available on Steam and still receiving regular updates and stuff like that, I would agree with you. Arknights wasn't made in those circumstances, though. It was made, when it was available on, the gameplay, the most interesting gameplay it had. I mentioned this in the Death Knell video. The most interesting gameplay it had to offer in its launch date was Chapter 4. And then the first events were like, Heart of Surging Flame and Granny and the Knight's Treasure.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's not really that interesting.
There's not a lot of depth. It's just kind of the same enemy archetype over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The state of the game now is like completely different. I think it's I think we look at the game now and we're like, okay, this would be so much better if it was just like a full game on Steam. Arknights has become how it is today because it's a gacha. It would if it was released, if they'd spent a few more years working on it and had released it as a full game, it wouldn't have made that much at all.
No, that's fair.
It wouldn't have allowed them to make Arknights what it is today, and it wouldn't have allowed them to essentially it wouldn't have allowed them to start developing Enfield, which they have sort of soft confirmed, not explicitly, but they've sort of soft confirmed will be the last gacha game they make. Base. And because they want to make real games now after that. That's part of what I love about Hypergriff, by the way, is that because they treat gacha games as real games, and that's what I want people to do. But like, I think that's my take. I think Arknights is as good as it is because it's a gacha game.
No,
if it hadn't been a gacha game, it wouldn't be what it is today. If it had started in its current state, then I would agree. But no.
No, yeah,
that's fair. Opposite, I think, can be said of the cursed term again of the big four. So like I've talked about on stream quite a lot about how captivated I was by Zenless Zone Zero in its launch state. I thought it was absolutely fucking fantastic. I thought it was just absolutely brilliant. It had so much style. It blew me away. I was like, what the fuck? This was made by Hoyo? What? This is brilliant. And then it just like, but if it had been a full game, I would have loved playing it. So like absolutely adored it. But it's a gacha. And it's a Hoyo gacha at that. And ever since launch, it's just got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
So like, it's funnily enough, I think Arknights is good because it's a gacha, and I think a game like Zenless Zone Zero would be is the game that I think should be a standalone game on Steam, which sounds weird at the surface level considering what my opinions on things, but that's I think I've justified.
No, that's fair because a lot of the reason. You go ahead.
I agree with you there. One major problem with Genshin is that a lot of its systems that I don't like. And especially since you would think it's a mainly story-driven game. If it was a standalone game and you unlocked each character as you go through the story, like let's just say you unlock the Archon of the region once you finish the main story for that region, and you unlock characters that way rather than being forced to interact with the gacha. And also, one major gripe with Genshin that I have is that a lot of the events just have nothing to do with the main core gameplay loop of the game. So you would have the main part of the game that is like, okay, it's the story, it's the characters, the exploration, and the combat. And then you'll have an event that's like, okay, let's have a co-op event that is like Fall Guys. Okay, what does that have to do with those 4 things? And then a lot of the combat events, they give you an ability that if you charge up or whatever, that you like screen wipe all the enemies. Okay, well, how does that really improve the combat then? And Bloop, as you've talked about on one of your streams, when you saw the, like, it's fairly old now, but Hoyoverse in Genshin did try to make a tower defense game, and it's or
that was me
event.
Watching a Tobo video,
and
so it's come full circle now.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, what does that have to do with improving the experience with Genshin? I'm doing stuff that I don't care about purely for the premium currency to roll on the gacha for the new characters that hopefully will have a fun kit or synergy with the characters I have. You know, like, how does that, instead of focusing on how do we make Genshin improve on those main core aspects like Arknights has, Genshin is doing a lot of stuff because it's a gacha game that has nothing to do with the main core gameplay loop of the game and its appeal.
I think I said in the Tobo video, I'm not sure if I did, but when I was watching the Tobo video, I think I said that first I made a joke that it's Fortnite because I think that's funny. But I think the main reason why that's the case is because you do have a lot of people who perhaps aren't insanely invested in the actual gameplay and are kind of burnt out on the gameplay loop of just like, press Q, then press E and kill thing, and rotate. And so you have like these extra gameplay things that give them an excuse to log in to just do something new.
Yep.
Which perhaps just could be the gacha kind of brain rot of just like, I don't really want to play the game. I want to play the gacha game. And I kind of don't like the game of the game because I already kind of beat the game. So now I can play, Fortnite in my Genshin Impact. It just gives me a reason to play the game because also
it's a series of distractions. Yeah, and I was about to mention as well. Just you said the social aspect. It's also the sense of community.
Yeah,
like.
Just like, oh, wow,
a lot of people
guys,
play these big games because like the sense of community is the most important thing to them.
100%. Yeah, it's like I think that's a main draw for gacha games isn't the game itself but the community, because you can feel. Again, I also do think that's why like I hate using the word metagaming, but it's like why playing vertically is so popular is because you're in the in-group of people who are playing the game good. It's like you have knowledge. You're like a veteran now because you know how to play the game correctly. And so when you have like, you're in that community of all these people who are playing the game just the same way as you are, you feel a lot more connected to that. And I think a lot of people get addicted to the community rather than the actual game itself. And so the FOMO is the main reason why they play the game, so that they don't miss out on things that all their friends are playing into. And at that point, it's the kind of toxic cycle of like, you're not actually playing a game because you like the game. You're playing the game because of either social pressure or because you just want to be in the know of this thing. You don't want to lose that status of like know-it-all veteran kind of thing.
Yeah, there's also like I've been talking a lot in my Discord lately about because you know how my video has been received very poorly by a certain subset of the Gacha community. That's in large part because, and it's a relatively easy diagnosis to make. It's because the people who play these big gacha games, who are in it for the community, a lot of people who consume this kind of media aren't able to separate the thing they consume, the media they consume, from themselves as a person and their identity as a person.
Consumption
and
as
so,
an identity.
Exactly. And an attack on that thing that they consume is an attack on them. because if they don't, if an attack on the thing they consume, if they listen to that and are willing to sort of acknowledge a criticism of the thing they consume, then what do they have left? Their identity has been damaged. Their identity has been compromised. They're like, what are they going to do? What they have to? Are they going to have to find a new gacha game, a new community but they're so invested. They've invested so much money and time into this community. So it's just, it's like that's why you have things like. I think that's in part why the Wuthering Waves fan base is the most. I'll just fucking say it. I think this is why the Wuthering Waves fan base is is constituted by far the biggest pussies in the gacha space. It's because Wuthering Waves is constituted by the vast majority of them is disgruntled Genshin players.
Yeah.
People who really, really liked Genshin, didn't want, got sick of Hoyo's shit, which is totally fair. Saw that Wuthering Waves had moved into this direction of being, competing with Genshin, moved over there. Kuro is slightly better than Hoyo, and so they've attached themselves to this, and now because they feel like, oh, the savior, they're slightly better than Hoyo, like they've attached themselves to this, and now they're not acknowledging that they might have been wrong. They're not acknowledging that maybe actually Kuro isn't as good as they thought they would be, and whereas with people who are still playing Genshin, clearly must like the game in some manner, right? Because back in like 2020, 2021, Genshin was the only big gacha game. Now there's several of them. People who are still playing Genshin clearly like the game in some way, in some capacity. And so, but while the Wuwa players are just the people who liked Genshin but don't like it anymore, and that's why you have this weird dynamic. And so when I can criticize Genshin Impact, I can just yell shit about Genshin Impact and nobody cares. The Genshin Impact players don't really give a shit. It's like, yeah, that's funny. The Wuwa players have viscerally awful reactions. Like, what the fuck? You sociopath! How fucking dare you? This is like, good lord.
Oh, I think it's what that one guy very eloquently said on one of your videos, that you are just a prude homosexual.
Yeah, it's like it's weird. It's a weird dynamic that we have at the moment in gacha. But like, it's precisely that mindset of consumption as identity and just looking for a community to attach yourself to that. I'm doing everyone a favor here and circling it back around to new players. This is precisely what new players come into Arknights expecting. They expect that sort of, they are sort of not necessarily wanting to drop their main game, but they're sort of sniffing around, looking at some side games. What would be a good side game here? What certainly something to play on the side, so that I have options and I can keep have. It's not always that. Sometimes they're just addicted to pulling and they want to pull more. But a lot of the time it is because they might be a little bit fed up with the gacha game. The main gacha game they play, and they want a new sense of community. And so they come in to when they're seeking help and they're seeking advice, they're not seeking advice trying to play it as a game. They're seeking advice as like, what do I need to do to just sort of get through the initial slog, so that I can have play this on the side very easily. And sort of be part of the community and know what people are talking about, right?
Yeah, I guess as you were saying in the very beginning of what we were talking, is you're like, how quickly can we make the game is how quickly can I make progress? I think could probably just be more easily said as how quickly can I get into the community? How quickly can I have the knowledge that I need before the community accepts me and I'm in with the memes, I know all of the right information, I know how to beat these stages, and when someone comes in, I can relay the right information to give to them.
Exactly, 100%.
I was gonna say though, I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, it is. Because I think, as you were saying with the whole like consumption as identity thing, I think a lot of that does have to do with just weebs in general. Because a lot of why gacha games are so popular is because of like IP pulling. It's like you'll have a really shit gacha game that is like your bare bones, like, oh, this is an RPG. It's like fucking auto battler shit, you know? And like you'll have, because this is what happened to me. It's like I got into a horrible game purely because I care way too much about the IP, but very quickly I realized that the game was actual dog shit and actively goes against my appreciation for the IP itself. But I do think a lot of people who maybe don't understand why they like the IP or aren't very, I don't want to say they're not honest with themselves in why they like the things that they like, but rather just they understand the emotional connection. They want to hold on to that emotional connection. So they get into these like IP gacha games, and the gacha game's going to go to shit, as all IP gacha games will. I don't think there's a single like good IP gacha game out there. And they will it's the same reason why gacha games have so many fucking collabs. Why that's such a common thing is because it's just like, hey, look, it's an IP I like. I'm gonna play this game so I can have my favorite character. And so
I have a counter example too, by the way. When I uploaded my Enfield videos to Bilibili, or rather the first one to Bilibili, a lot of people, you know, on in the West we say, I guess we can say in the West. In the West we tend to say Genshin as like the default example of like a big gacha game. Yeah. In Bilibili, there was quite a number of people saying Genshin and Naruto.
Okay.
There is a Naruto gacha game that is like an action based game.
Well, game. Okay, if that's a good game, then fair. But I have a little.
I have no idea, but I have no idea, but it is consistently pulling in quite a lot of money. So
okay, I'm not gonna pretend I know. Maybe that's a good game. Maybe that's an objectively good game. Maybe it's better than fucking Arknights.
In general, you are right though. The IP ones suck.
I'll be a little skeptical about the Chinese Naruto gacha game, but I think that in general, IP gacha games are the shittiest they can be because they're purely meant to just to milk the whales who are fans of these IPs, and so. I do think that, you're going to have a lot of people who get into a lot of these kinds of gacha games with a very similar mindset, but now it's Genshin is the IP that they're attached to. Now it's Wuba that's the IP that they're attached to. And I think it's that very similar kind of thing where, because I remember, like, just first getting into, like, Genshin, a huge reason as to why that game is just so nice is the environment. It's the feeling of it. It's the, what's the word I'm looking, it's like just, I guess the
vibe.
Yeah, the vibe. Yeah. The vibe of the game is so cozy. It's so nice. The world, the art style, it's so beautiful. And I can 100% understand that you can have that emotion and you really focus on that emotion. And that emotion kind of is what is the catalyst for that, like, addiction. And a lot of this just kind of comes from, like, a lack of self-awareness. Like, you can't figure out why exactly you're super into this thing. But I do think that's often the kind of reason as to some people can get like hooked on really shit gacha games. Like Nikke, like obviously that catalyst is going to be, Booba. Just like, wow, this character's hot. That's the catalyst that kind of hooks your emotional investment into the game,
Yeah.
And what's interesting though is that Arknights, for Arknights, to me, it was the gameplay. Like, the gameplay was the catalyst. And to me, that's the best catalyst to have to get, like, hooked into something. Get hooked into a game is for the gameplay.
And you play games for gameplay? That's crazy.
Yeah, what? What's wrong with you? This is 2025. I want yellow paint walking simulators that tell me a very deep story about depression that I can vehemently relate to. That's what gaming is this year. But... yeah, it's like, I don't really know what the catalyst is for a lot of people. It probably is the story. Like, I think a lot of them could just be because of the story. But I think for a vast majority of people, it is just because it is another gacha game. It is a popular gacha game that everyone else is playing, and it's kind of that community aspect that gets a lot of people hooked. But I do think that, it's probably characters or the story that people can kind of get hooked to. But... I do think that is probably the social aspect. That's the catalyst for Arknights. And I think that's probably, like, the worst catalyst. to kind of get hooked onto a game isn't because you're really interested in it, isn't because it's a genuine passion you have. It's just because it's like, that's what everyone else is doing, so I'm going to do it too. It's another gacha game to have on my phone folder with 12 different gacha games that I play every single day.
Caught. I'm kidding, okay.
I don't...
Yeah, since sorry.
No, go ahead.
Since I started in 2020, I have memories of the beginning of the Arknights stuff. Ironically, the ads actually made me not want to try out the game. Like,
yeah,
they
you
didn't.
Said that. Yeah, the ads.
they were pretty awful.
The ads are terrible.
And it was actually the music that got me to try it. But in the terms of like the YouTube content sphere, it was basically that thing, because a lot of the big creators that were making content, like, they were fairly big. Like, let's just say they were like 10 to 50,000 subscribers. As soon as Genshin came out, they went over to that. Now, whether it was because they actually wanted to try the game or they just saw it as a potential business opportunity, I suppose. Like you said, like the community aspect and like, hey, this is the next big thing. Like, how many content creators do we have since Genshin came out that stuck with Arknights when they had done content for Arknights for a year or so before Genshin came out? And I feel like that void of the lack of content creators for like 2 years or so after Genshin was released, it actually made the community for Arknights so much better, because it held on to the people who were actively interested in the game itself, or the world of Arknights and everything, instead of being like, hey, this is the brand new thing, I'm gonna play it because it's popular, or you know the community aspect, or whatever. So in my mind, that's kind of it made the community of Arknights so much better, and that was kind of, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there as well.
Cannot comment, wasn't there.
Yeah, and cannot wasn't in the game yet.
Yeah, yeah. I can. I had a sentence that I was on the tip of my tongue and it's just gone. Fuck.
Oh.
But, because, yeah, I do think that a lot of new players will come in with the expectation. Because, I mean, that's kind of the rationalization that I'm having when it comes to saying, like, why certain players are going to be introduced to the game, and they're just going to have the expectation of it to just be every other kind of gacha game. And that is what sucks, because like, Arknights is not your traditional gacha game. And the main reason why I say that, like, gacha holds back Arknights, which, again, Tobo made a great point about how Arknights wouldn't fucking exist if it wasn't a gacha game. But I'm just saying that, you know, again, if it
is also the case that the gacha also holds it back.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that point as well.
Because it's like, you have a lot of people who come in and play Arknights purely as a gacha game, and naturally that is going to affect the design principles of how the game works. And obviously we can talk about Wishadel, but we don't need to. But it's like, Wishadel has no reason to exist other than for the sake of being a gacha unit. It's like,
yep.
Wishadel does have some decent qualities to her pre-Elite 2, but like at Elite 2, she is the gacha operator. She is purely there for the sake of, you know, her and Logos, purely there to appeal to the people who play Arknights purely as a gacha game. And it's not to say they don't have any qualities that someone like us couldn't appreciate.
I would disagree with you on Logos. I think Logos is just overtuned. Logos is, I think, a really interesting unit. He just has way too much damage. That's all.
Okay, I do agree. He has some cool ideas. I think him insta-killing things on SS1's a little weird, but no, you're right.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
He has some cool aspects, and obviously his fucking Delta module is completely unnecessary. But
yes.
But I do think, though, that he might, purely just because Wishadel came out and the exact same update as him, he's overtuned because of Wishadel, you know? And it's like, because if it was just Wishadel, no one would pull for Logos. But Logos needs to be overtuned to make this banner the best banner, like, ever, you know? And so it's like, everyone's going to be pulling for it. And I'm sure you can look at the pull data. Like, I don't know if that's available. I doubt it is. But Hypergriff obviously has the pull data. And they're like, okay, literally everyone pulled on this banner. And, like, you know, obviously, when playing the playing the co-op event, it's quite obvious that everyone has Wishadel. And so when you do know that that kind of stuff is what people want, that's more stuff that we're going to get. And we're going to get operators like Blana, for example, who are just so, like, ridiculous that it really kind of, it's sour because it's directly antithetical to the principles of design that make me genuinely enjoy Arknights. And so it's this weird push and pull effect of Hypergriff needs to appeal towards two completely different player groups. Like, the people who play it purely as a gacha game and the people who play it play as a tower defense game. And those two design principles naturally will clash with each other. And I feel as, like, every month goes on, these two games just get further and further away from each other. And again, I am so fucking grateful that Hypergriff continues to release, like, well-made 5 stars. They continue to release, like, good, like, well-designed 4 and 5 stars. And occasionally we'll get a 6-star I do like. Like, you, I don't think is, like, that egregious. Like, you seems pretty fun. I'm not gonna pull for him.
Yeah, I'm excited for him.
You seems pretty interesting. I think there was some other 6-star I was kind of interested in. Or like Lazy Altar. Lazy Altar seems pretty cool. Not, like, again, not super into it.
Oh yeah.
There's some elements about Lazy Altar I really like. And so
this is precisely it's worth pointing out here, like, this the whole notion of the game sort of pulling itself into two directions and trying to appeal to two different sides at once. You know, one side that wants it for the game, one side that wants it for the gacha. This is precisely why I worry so much for Enfield and why I made those videos, because the format of Enfield doesn't really allow for the former. You know, sorry, not that. Well, sorry, that's rephrase that slightly. The format of Enfield doesn't really allow for, you know, you mentioned, like, you know, you're really grateful that Hypergriff continues to design really well-made 5 stars. Enfield is one of those, you know, it's trying to sort of break into the mainstream a little bit. You know, as much as I hate to admit that, it is kind of trying to do that.
It's a Genshin like that. That's obviously the intention.
Yeah, like it's. I don't know if I'd call it a Genshin like, but it's clearly taken a lot of far too much inspiration from Genshin.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's you know, it's got a squad of 4. There's only going to be 4 characters on the field at a time. There's not going to be nearly even close to as many operators to choose from as there are in Arknights. Having a squad of 12 where, you know, with those defined roles and those specific niches, that's just not going to exist in Enfield.
Yeah, it's a fundamental design thing.
It's going to be very easy for them to. Sorry. No, yeah, it's going to be very easy for them to. to pull it in the direction. I'll finish quickly. Don't worry. It's going to be very easy for them to pull it in the direction of gacha, but I really, really worry how they're going to pull it into the direction of game.
No, yeah, because I mean that was the main point of that was, as you were saying, the main point of the whole dodge thing is that if they design the dodge in such a way that it kind of trivializes the gameplay to make it more action oriented, it loses out on that strategy. It loses out on that ability to kind of Johnny over the game. And so in Arknights, yeah, you can design an operator like Wishadel, who, in my opinion, is a horribly is not a very well designed operator for some of her parts. And so, but I don't have to play her. She doesn't exist to me. I can play whoever the hell I want to. But in the case where it's based in the fundamentals of how the game is structured as a whole, yeah, it's perfectly fine to be worried with that. Because, yeah, I'm kind of silly for complaining too much about how power creep is getting, you know, insane. Because I don't think Hypergriff's going to use this as an excuse to screw up. Because it's obvious they have a passion for the game. And it's because, again, 4 and 5-star players don't give Hypergriff money. They have no monetary incentive to continue to design really well-made 4 and 5 stars. That's out of passion. 100%, I love that. They're not going to change that anytime soon. I'm a little worried, but mainly because of stage design. But again, me being worried about like power creep isn't that bad compared to you being worried about like how the dodge is handled in Enfield, because it can completely change. Again, it's like, oh, the base. What if they had ways to, or blueprints for the base so you can just skip the base thing? Oh, you know, they have a glider now, so you don't need to worry about the zip lines. You have all of these different aspects that drastically change how the game is fundamentally for the sake of appealing towards the gacha player base. And so it loses out on that identity, rather than just being, okay, here's an overpowered 6-star that completely goes against the main design principles of the game, but it's there for people who want them, versus, you know, everything else that's more attuned for how the game is kind of meant to be played. I say that walking on thin ice, knowing some people.
Yeah. It's like I can't really compare the development of Arknights to the development to my concerns with the development of Enfield, because, you know, when Arknights was in development, it was fucking ages ago. It was like a completely different company, a completely different game. But like, just, you know, say for example, you have the current state of Arknights, and it was going to release in this state, and, you know, it was in development, and we were really excited for it. Just take that as like the sake of argument.
Yeah.
Let's say they just had a beta and it was really, really good, and then they have a second beta in which they have an autoplay button that is disabled. like it's not there yet, but it's clearly stating their intention to add it.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of where I'm at with Enfield right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is, you know, and I heard no, you know, dissenting opinions or whatever. So I just said, sort of slammed the brakes on their behalf and just made a lot of noise. And
no, you're justified. I mean, yeah, you're 100% justified in being worried, because it's very obvious that there is appeal towards the game that is the main reason for why you like the game. Because I think the main reason, you know, it's like, if Hypergriff stopped printing 4 stars for Arknights, or stopped printing 4 and 5 stars for Arknights, that would piss me off. Like, imagine if they came out, they're like, oh, 4 and 5 stars don't make us any money, so we're just going to release 6 stars. It's like, to the majority of the player base, they're not going to give a shit. Because, you know, that doesn't affect how they play. Obviously, it's going to affect how I play, and it affects the main reason for why I enjoy the game. So, of course, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to make loads of drama farming, you know, videos talking about why this is the worst thing ever. And so, in your case, it's like, that's a 100% realistic situation to be in, where it's just like, Hypergriff could legitimately take away the main reason why I like the game.
Yeah, exactly. But the gacha players don't really understand that. Mm-hmm. They're just like, oh, this guy's an elitist. And why are you talking about like punishing players? This game should be fun. Smile. It's like, okay, shut the fuck up. Fuck, I forgot what I was going to say again. Never mind.
I mean, there's always just going to be... No, go ahead, Louis.
That was also another thing, like watching your videos as someone who wasn't a participant in the technical test or the beta. That is a big concern of mine, that Arknights Enfield will be too much like Genshin and Wuthering Waves, because for me, if I ever quit Genshin, I'm not going to be looking for a similar experience to that game. Like, that's the main reason why I have absolutely no interest in Wuthering Waves. If I'm not looking for just, okay, it's slightly better than Genshin. Maybe I'll even enjoy it for 6 months, but as soon as the novelty wears off, what are you left with? Oh, well, a slightly better Genshin. Well, in my mind, it's kind of like, well, what is the point of that? And a big worry for me is that as much as I like Arknights, I'm afraid that I won't enjoy the gameplay of Enfield. So probably will make a dedicated video on that eventually, but
Yep.
I have very similar concerns that you do.
Yeah, I think something that is very important to note about my concerns is with Enfield is that I think the initial, like the state of the game as it was in the beta, with the exception of several of the concerns I have about the writing and the dodge and the expectations it's setting, I think in that state it's still like fantastic, and Arknights players will find lots of fun in it, even if I think the template of the prototype of the alpha was something I was even if I was more optimistic back then. My concern is more about not whether it will be enjoyable at the start, but whether it will continue to be good.
Yeah.
Like
fair.
because I was I was talking about the base has tons of room to grow and become better, but become convinced or not. Like the most optimistic outcome I can believe in is that new regions will just have gimmicks, and then you build your base with it over the course of a few days, and then that's it for like that region. And that's my worry, that it sort of falls into this trap of hardly ever updating or taking advantage of its core gameplay and just becoming a series of distractions because they don't want to quote unquote burden new players, burden casuals with the factory and the base building and stuff. And with Arknights, I think the part of what makes Arknights so special, I think, is that you don't have you have mini games sometimes, but every single event is a whole not always completely self-contained, but usually a totally self-contained story, like a good story with interesting characters, interesting settings, interesting narratives, and every single side story brings with it new event mechanics, new game mechanics. Yeah, you can call them gimmicks, but they happen often enough that it's really sort of expanded on what the core fundamentals of Arknights gameplay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with gimmicks. Like it's perfectly fine to have gimmicks in something, but obviously it's the quality of the gimmick that matters. But yeah,
exactly.
Evolution.
My go-to example of a gimmick that's bad is Chapter 9, where just everything has plus 70 res and you can silence it and that's it.
I think the pillars are cool. I think the pillars are kind of cool.
The pillars are cool, but I just think refraction is bullshit.
No, yeah, you're right. That's not a gimmick. It's just everything has 70 res unless you have Lapland. And it's that's not that fun. It's like, I get to use Podenko, I guess.
The thing with is so that's why I made the videos about Enfield. It's because, well, at least one of the reasons why is because if the player base is filled with people who have the expectation that it's going to be like those other Gacha games where it's just like a series of distractions that don't really expand upon the core gameplay at all, then that's just what it'll end up being.
Yeah, although I do think I do think though that you the baseline, the core mechanics of Enfield are a lot more. I don't really know how exactly you could evolve upon that kind of thing in a similar way that they do with Arknights. Because with Arknights, it's a really well-made tower defense game, but it's really easy to add gimmicks onto a tower defense game just because of the core idea of just like, here's a thing that's on the map that affects enemies in a certain way or affects you in a certain way.
Yeah.
But it's like the main way that I feel that you could try and evolve upon something like Enfield is purely through enemy design, because I do believe I talked a little bit about this when I was watching your video, is that enemy design is kind of whole to those kinds of games where you're making everything's really focused on like boss fights or something. You also don't want to make the game like too grindy. You don't want the game to just be a button mashing simulator where you're just like chewing through swarms of enemies, because you can't evolve upon that kind of concept. And so to me,
I can bring up a specific example of this. Oh, sorry, you're not finished. Sorry, Mango.
I'm not exactly sure how exactly you would have tried to evolve too much in Enfield in the same way that you would with Arknights, which is something that I do think is just kind of fundamental to the kind of Genshin-like ARPG kind of thing. Unless you're... Because, again, you brought up Dark Souls in that video, so it's just like... It makes... Or... Yeah, you did. Did you? One of the videos you brought up Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Elden Ring. Yeah, you're right, Elden Ring. And so it's like, you could have, it's just like every boss is their own completely unique thing, and they all, need to be approached from a very specific way, but it's like, well, that only really shakes up one, like, specific aspect of the gameplay, rather than, like, a whole chapter of new mechanics like Arknights would do. And so, to me, it does feel like it might just, unless they lean really, really good into, like, certain operator and enemy design, it would be really difficult, I feel, to make new mechanics. And if anything, it would just be like, here's a new operator that has a new mechanic, here's a new enemy that needs to be approached from a very unique way. And that would just kind of be the extent of it. And to me, that's a little, I don't know, I don't want to say concerning, but it's like hard to believe, I suppose.
Yeah. So I'll just need to get my thought out before I forget about it. One of my favorite enemies that was in the beta was called the Cloud Stalker. It was like a giant heron, which throws like a gas cloud at you, in which you can't dash or dodge. It forces you to walk at a very slow speed, and I thought that was really cool. And that gave me confidence that that I don't need to worry too much about how they'll design enemies. Hypergriff is very good at enemy design. I think they'll cook with that. But the reason I talked about removing the dodge and stuff is because while I trust them to make good to make the combat good, even if there is a dodge there, the disconnect is in the base. Like they have like the disconnect is with the base, because, and that's the part of why I brought up the TV mode with the TCZ and stuff. It's worth pointing out, I specifically didn't mention this in the video, in any of the videos, and didn't like allude to it at all because of the of what my goals were with the video, which was to ignite discussions, get people talking about gameplay and stuff like that. There is a TD mode in Enfield. You can craft combat turrets in the factory. It's relatively basic. Like it's not even close to being what Arknights is. It's super bare, but it's super basic. It's not not really like the TV mode TD mode that there is just not that good right now, but it does exist, and I can see them adding various different kinds of combat towers to assist in the new enemies designs that they make. And I can see a possibility where new events have they have new enemies as well as new combat turrets. And that's how they expand upon both aspects of the gameplay in terms of the combat and the factory. You have a bunch of combat turrets that do open up new ways to deal with enemies and stuff, as well as new enemy mechanics to deal with just the conventional combat.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause as you were talking about how you're worried that it's like a new region will just be like, here's another base you got to build. Once you're done, you're done. I was thinking, I didn't say it because I'm like, oh, this would be a little ridiculous, and it's very funny that you brought it up. I'm like, yeah, what if it's like enemies could attack your base, and every region has their own different enemies and their own different ways of attacking your base, and you need to defend it in different ways. But also, as you were saying, with how
that exists,
yeah, that's funny. So that's interesting. That is actually pretty cool. That you can essentially have every region function in a way to how an Arknights events design, where it's like, oh, here's a funny stupid gimmick you have to do in order to defend your base this way. But I also, because in your dodge video, I believe you I don't know if I'm misremembering, but if you you want the resources that you generate in the base to actually have worth and have meaning. And so you have like these HP regen items that you're capable of creating in the base. And so if you make the combat something that's you're able to just kind of like, you know, no hit all the time, like really easily, it gives those healing items a lot less like purpose, and instead just makes them feel like, you know, band-aids that you put on yourself for the sake, like if you end up missing. But if you don't have the dodge, then it's more of a situation where you're actually managing HP more like a resource, like you would in a traditional RPG, where you're gonna get hit. That's something that you kind of have to have the expectation for, and these healing items are meant to be your way of managing HP as a resource. And I don't know if that was a point you were making in that dodge video, but that was something I did take away from it.
Yeah, like that's, you know, that's this is all, you know, I was deliberately vague in how I presented solutions and stuff, and how I presented and deliberately simple in how I did things, because if I had just presented like if I presented a specific solution to the dodge, then people would have just nitpicked that, and you know, that would have been the focus instead of talking about the gameplay. So that's why I was deliberately kind of black and white with it. But
isn't that why people
so like this?
Didn't people do that anyways?
Well, yeah, but like, it's you know, there's one route. Let's say they remove the dodge as as premise. One route they take is that you know, there is unavoidable damage and you are managing HP more like a traditional RPG. One is that it gets replaced with something else, some other mechanism by which you can avoid damage. And the thing about that is, people seem to be forgetting, because you can like directly control the body of the character. In most games where that's the case, you kind of need a dodge, or see something like a dodge, because getting interrupted by enemy attacks feels bad when you're directly controlling the body of the character.
Yeah.
People simplify that down to taking damage feels bad, and so you always need a dodge. In Enfield, you're forced to take, like, if it's already encouraging, if it's already kind of already the case that you should take damage sometimes in order to get SP to deal more damage, having resistance to interruption but being willing to take damage nonetheless would kind of solve that issue. But also, you have 4 characters on the field. It's not just you. Like, your allies, your 3 teammates have massive damage reduction. There's really, like, the thing that I've noticed, sort of like after uploading both videos and just seeing the responses to both of them, is that people tend to think really, really uncreatively when thinking about having no dodge. When I say remove the dodge, people just tend to think, the overwhelming majority of response is like, no, I don't think that. You don't need to do that drastic. Well, that would just become like face tanking stat check. It's like, no, just think creatively. It's really, really interesting that people just don't seem to think beyond like remove the dodge. They just okay. So what happens then? And so then they say, oh well, that's why you need dodge, because it would feel bad for it to be just face tanking stat check. It's kind of emblematic of what the mindset of gacha players at large are. It's like, no, there's not a lot of creativity. It's just like things are as they are, and what do you mean you want to do something different?
Yeah, because I am aware that there's a defender class in Enfield that's discount Aurora, whatever her name is.
Yeah, Snowshine. Yeah,
Snowshine. Yeah, and literally my first impression of that is, oh, she tanks. You put her in front of the boss, and you have to maneuver her correctly so she can tank attacks and also make sure that your other operators aren't being damaged. I'm thinking like, oh, she should like fulfill a similar role that she does in Arknights. But you have this whole dodge conversation. I'm like, is that not what she does? I have for what I do understand, she's apparently really good because she like heals operators, which technically Aurora does that.
She is easily the strongest healer. Like, just having Snowshine in the team just basically makes you invincible. It's really hard to lose when Snowshine is in the team. She needs to be nerfed, to be honest.
Yeah, so okay, ignoring the healing, just pretending that doesn't exist. It's like, to me, wouldn't the role of a defender be to tank? It's like, wouldn't that be
this is the thing. So Snowshine is actually a really, really interesting addition to the game. Not just because she's just ridiculously busted in terms of healing and needs to be nerfed, but also her skill is a parry. Like, the dodge is built into the game fundamentally, but Aurora... I know she's called Snowshine in the game, but she's called Aurora. Her fucking snowboard says Aurora on it, so like, she is Aurora.
Okay.
Her skill, the one that costs SP, is a parry. You click the button, she appears like next to the enemy or in front of the enemy, where puts down like a shield of ice that lasts for a couple of seconds, and if the enemy attacks that shield of ice, their attacks get interrupted, and Aurora will then hit the enemy for like a fair bit of damage. And she has a parry skill. Okay. While also having a dodge and just ridiculous healing.
Yeah, so it's
like the Snowshine, the Aurora method of doing it should be what all characters do. There should be a set of characters that have skills like that, like Aurora's parry, instead of dodging. That's what I think should be the case.
Yeah. Like, you can use evasion as a balancing mechanism. It's like, this operator is meant to be more for DPS, and they don't have any evasion skills. They have no damage reduction skills. So they need to be somewhere where they can be protected. But you have operators that do have, like, evasion built into them. That's an extra design space that you have for operators. And, the dodge kind of takes away that design space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a creative solution. Lowy, do you have anything to add? I'm sorry, it's like you haven't been talking.
No,
I feel bad.
It's fine. I'm just I've just been enjoying hearing the conversation because, like I've said, I haven't really looked into much of Enfield other than like the bare bones, or participated in any of the tests. So, getting this insight is good. I'm just happy to be listening for this topic.
Yeah, I haven't either. I legitimately, because I actually didn't watch your original Enfield video because I'm like, I wouldn't understand like any of this shit until I watched your dodge video, and I'm like, oh, I get this. And then I watched the original Enfield video, and so
yeah, it was fun to watch you trying not to like break down crying during the feedback part.
That was disgusting. But yeah, it was the main reason why I didn't care about Enfield is because, to me, I was completely under the impression that, oh, this is just Hypergriff's response to Genshin. Like, they're just making Genshin. And I'm like, I love Arknights, but I don't love Arknights enough to just, like, hop onto something purely because the IP is the same. And we have, like, the weird, like, Hoyo situation where it's the same character except not really, like that they did with Star Rail in Honkai Impact 3.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's the same character, but not really. And I'm like, is this really what they're doing? Are they just trying to, like, copy MiHoYo? And it wasn't until Tobo's video where I'm like, wait a minute, is there, like... Because the main thing that he's trying to defend is the strategy of the game, of just like, oh, wait a minute, that's the reason why I like Arknights. And he's trying to defend the reason why I like Arknights. And so I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. That's interesting. Obviously, it's not like I can just play the fucking game now, but I am interested in it now because of Tobo's video. And again, obviously, I'm the minority of the gacha game, like, player base, of just, like, people who are willing to treat gacha games, which are, like, the worst video game genre, as real games. So it's a very interesting situation to be in, I suppose.
Yeah, there's been Hypergriff should start paying me, because there have been quite a number of people who weren't previously interested in Enfield who are now interested in Enfield because of my videos.
I mean, those videos blew you the absolute fuck up, so I mean, completely justified.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but they have put my name on the map for sure.
No, yeah, it's I had more subs than you until you uploaded those videos.
Yeah.
And then now I'm caught in the dust, forgotten.
It is what it is. I still intend to, I think my passion for Enfield and everything it is obvious to everyone, but so like it's no, it goes without saying that I will become a Enfield CC when the game comes out, primarily Enfield, but I don't ever intend to stop playing Arknights. I don't ever intend to stop, Arknights content may be rare, but it's not. I'm never going to say, right, that's it, no more Arknights content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not just gonna jump on.
I love, so much of my passion for Enfield comes because I am so passionate about Arknights.
Exactly.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite game. It's like and I want the same for Enfield. I don't want that to be taken away by people who don't look at gacha games as real games. They just look at it as distractions. I don't want that to be taken away. As I think that's it's a totally reasonable response to have, that's part of looping it back around to new players again. That is a major part of why I feel as strongly as I do about how people are, the advice that people are giving to new players, being centered around it as a gacha rather than it as a game.
Yeah. I think, again, not to be masturbatory, because obviously I fall into this group, but I do think it is important that you have gacha content creators who talk about the game as a game, rather than just kind of doing the whole gacha shtick of just like, hey, here's the new thing, look at the new thing, get the new thing. The new thing, actually, bad thing, you should wait for next new thing, and it's just like, it's all the same kind of deal, versus rather than trying to treat gacha games like they are their own game thing. And again, that affects the general appeal of these kinds of games. And you could have someone who is brand new to this game introduced through like a content creator that's capable of giving them the perspective that lets them enjoy the game, rather than just trying to treat it as another gacha game. Because the thing is, though, is that with how most people treat gacha games, it's not exactly from like a wholesome place. It's not like the most genuine thing ever of just like you're addicted to like 5 different fucking gacha games that you only play because your friends play it and you sunk like a bunch of money into this. Like, a lot of that doesn't necessarily come from like a great place of mental health, And so I do think that it's just a good thing in general to just be like, hey, you should be playing good games, not gacha games, because the gacha communities as a whole are very, like, from my experience of interacting with gacha communities, there's definitely like certain types of people who mainly are in these kinds of communities. And so I do think that it's just important from like a personal point of view to be able to lift people up and to encourage people to kind of do their own thing, to let people be aware enough of why they enjoy things rather than just kind of blindly quote unquote enjoying something because of basically everything that we've been talking about.
Yeah. Fuck, I forgot again. What was I gonna say? In the middle of speaking, I'll have something on the tip of my tongue, and then okay, no, I'll wait until he's done speaking, and then I'll listen, and then it'll disappear.
Yeah, that's been going on this whole fucking thing.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say on that topic, Bloop, about like, how does this thing compare to the next thing, like for brand new units, and like how they compare and whether or not they're worth pulling and whether or not they are good. It's like, I look at characters like Ablana, and and hearing about how the CN player base was upset with her E2 design of needing a buff, and a lot of the buffs I do actually kind of agree with, but the problem is that the CN player base, because of their influence, Hypergriff overcorrected, giving her her S3 3 different hits with that same multiplier. So it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of irritates me just a little bit, where it's like, oh, is this person, how broken is this person? Or like the classic joke of, oh, can they solo Patriot? If they can, they're okay. If they can't, then they're garbage type of thing. And like that, like using that reference of power is it just really gets to me, you know, after getting more into the game, playing niche knights and playing combos for my main account and stuff, and having fun in that way, or as I've said, like some of the complaints on certain characters, like if you are a veteran, there are tools to alleviate those weaknesses to make them not really an issue if you were that at that point in the game. So
yeah, it's again, it's like the whole like pushing and pulling of just like between two different games, where it's like, you know, Ablana, like, because yeah, you do have people that will have the don't really judge operators based off of how they perform in the actual game, but rather judge operators based off of comparing them to other pre-existing operators, which to me is like the kind of the dumbest way to evaluate operators, because it doesn't allow you to actually look at an operator and see what they can do and what they're capable of, but rather you look at everything from this very top-down kind of perspective of just like, something's only worth building if it's capable of being better in the top 12 operators, essentially. And it's that kind of valuation. It's that kind of valuation of certain operators. I don't think valuation's a word, but it's that kind of way to value certain operators that I do think just naturally pulls away from a lot of the elements that makes Arknights a genuinely well-designed gacha game. And I've gotten a lot of, like, you know, crackback about people just like, you know, oh, there's nothing wrong with it, just, you know, don't play it if you don't like it. You know, it's just like, oh, well, you know, they're there for those who want them, but it's like, sometimes, like, a game can't always appeal to everyone. Games kind of need to focus on their own thing. I know I made a video where I talk about how Arknights appeals to a lot of different kinds of players, and that is true, and that is good to an extent. Like, it is good that certain operators can be designed for different kinds of players. You know, you have your Johnnies, your Timmies, and your Spikes. But when things get too spiky, when everything is kind of focused around the spikes, and again, I'm very happy we get the handful of Johnny operators for the, you know, the 5 stars. But when everything gets a little too spiky, that can end up negatively affecting the Johnny and the Timmy experience. Maybe not the Timmy experience. The Timmies are kind of happy with fucking whatever. But it can negatively affect how other things can affect the other kinds of players, which is mainly what I'm worried about. Because, yeah, it's like, I don't need to use Wish It All. I don't need to. I don't want to. I don't think she's a well-designed operator, and that's my own opinion, so fucking whatever. But it's a matter of design principle that I'm scared of. But again, Hypergriff's fucking amazing, so I'm not that worried about it. Although I am a little worried about it.
Why I need to do my dedicated Wizardel video one of these days.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
To go on like an hour-long talk about all of my thoughts on
there is
on
nuance. There is definitely nuance to it, because it's not as... Because I am very confident in saying that an operator like Wishadel or Ablana, they are poorly designed operators, like, from an objective point of view. Like, Exusia, the New Covenant, is an objectively poorly designed operator, but I understand the nuances for why people would want them. I understand why people could find them appealing. I understand the nuances of why that's okay to have in the game, because it's not necessarily for everyone. Like, people can play with whatever the fuck they want. But I also understand that it isn't as simple as just, you know, everything's perfect all the time. We can add whatever the hell we want to the game, you know? Things can lead to certain perspective shifts. So it's a complicated topic. It's not something that is just as simple as like, oh, power creep's fine, just don't play with whoever the hell you want, or power creep bad, all overpowered things are bad. It's like, it's a very, very long kind of discussion. I do think, though, that we are at 2 hours and 15 minutes, so I do think we should wrap things up right around here. So any final thoughts, Tobo and
Yep,
or
sounds
Louis?
good.
I think Tobo died.
No, I didn't die. I was distracted for a brief moment during that, those last words, because I got a ping telling me that a content creator was reacting to my Enfield videos.
Oh, it must be so nice. It must be so nice having people react to your stuff. The moment of the moment of
it
VTuber,
depends on the.
the moment of
It
VTuber
really depends on the person
stuff.
reacting to.
No, yeah, 100%. It's just like you'll have someone react to it, just be like, "What the fuck is this guy saying? This guy's no fucking idea what he's talking about." But hey, the moment a VTuber reacts to my stuff, I'm in heaven. Something good's happening. I'm gonna receive absolute fucking hate, but that's interaction that will boost my video.
I've also just realized that the content creator they're talking about is one who is known for playing, I think it's like 11 gachas at once.
So
this could be interesting.
Oh, you know what you should do? You should do a tier list of all the people who've reacted to your videos.
Okay, no, that's that's going a little.
I'm joking.
That's inviting. I know you're joking, but
well, this guy agrees with me. S tier. This guy smells funny. F tier.
I was about to say this guy looks funny. F tier.
So yeah, this was great.
It has actually been a.
Yeah, so it's also so much for like the whole discussion being about new player experience. We talked for like 10 minutes.
But no, we kept. I do think that what we talked about did end up is related to that. Like a lot of how we see gacha games does definitely affect what exactly we're saying. But also, it's not like these are scripted. As you can see, it's like if anything, this is proof that this shit ain't scripted. So. It's meant to be a fun little ride for the person watching this while they play Minecraft.
Second one opened up, yeah.
So it was awesome to have you on, Tobo. This was great.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's also good that Loe's computer worked.
True, yeah.
I had my computer just started working yesterday. My dad thought of the last thing we didn't try, which was the CPU. We replaced it, and that was the problem after trying to get it fixed for over a week, for almost a week.
Well, all right, that's great.
Congrats.
Just in time. So yeah, thanks a lot, Tobo, for coming over. This was awesome. Everyone, go fucking follow Tobo on Twitch and YouTube and Twitter.
Twitch.tv/
Join his Discord.
Twitch.tv/TOBORUO and YouTube.com/TOBORUO.
He really likes it when you send Goatsy in his Discord server. That's a joke. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
When he sent what? Sorry?
Everyone, please, whatever you do not send Goatsy in Tobo's Discord server. He does not like that.
What are you saying? What is that? I don't know what that refers to.
Well, don't look it up, all right?
I don't know
Thank you all for watching.
God fucking damn it.